Hello everybody! Welcome to another episode of Reacting Reddit, where real humans read, react, and summarize Reddit stories. Today we're going to be talking about times where people have hacked into something and then they've been like, nope, and had no interest in having anything to do with what that was. So this first reply is by Rage Lay. A couple of years back, I was real big into reactivating old Hotmail accounts and using them to log in to Facebook. Since this was in the heyday of chainmails with 100 or so accounts there, I had a huge backlog. I don't know why I did it, a combination of boredom and voyeurism, I think, and a lot of free time. I felt sort of like a hacker, at least. Occasionally, you stumble upon things that you wish you weren't supposed to. I mean, yeah, I know how that sounds. Once I came upon a guy's Facebook, and after a while, you instantly realize it hasn't been used in years. A bit like coming across an abandoned house. Tons of notifications and unopened private messages. On the top of the list of those messages, it was a woman that kept trying to contact him. My first impression was that it was a stalker, maybe an ex that wasn't able to move on or something. I really don't want to get into the details because even for me it feels like I walked into an absolutely private matter, but it was mostly her talking about her day-to-day stuff and occasionally begging him to come back. Sometimes it got real weird, with her telling him how she felt him in the wind. It turns out the guy was dead, and people have a strange way of coping. I left that habit behind after that. Just imagine being that woman and coming back to find your messages read. Whoa. Oh, it'd fuck me up for a good couple of days. That would fuck me up too. If I was like sending my dad messages and then they got read, I mean, I wouldn't think he was alive, but crazy. Baby Lawn Sisters says, I have this belief that our consciousness feeds into the whole of consciousness, kind of the idea that we all matter and we all contribute to our consciousnesses. I have a strange idea that because your eyes saw that she feels him in the wind, that her sentiment reached him in a mysterious way. It's now sort of uploaded and accessible. Yeah, now we all know that this one human felt like she saw her dead lover in the wind. Karate Man 456 says, I was asked to steal a couple Bitcoin from a customer's associate back when Bitcoin and altcoins were booming. Ha, it's funny because they're kind of booming right now. I got access to his wallet fairly easily, and being as curious as I am, I checked how he got so much coin. He had tons of small sum payments with links attached to transactions. I checked one and it was just child porn. Lots and lots of child porn. I told the guy I was working with for his associate was a fucking pedo and quickly dropped a line to the relevant authorities. Shit like that fucks you up, man. Too long didn't read. I was asked to gain access to a Bitcoin wallet, check the transactions, and they were selling up child porn. I'm not talking about a few grand in Bitcoin in this dude's wallet, but closer to 6 or 7 figures. Just hundreds and hundreds of small $50 to $1,000 transactions. Absolutely sickening. Script Kid says, I got hired through a website where someone wanted me to gain access to a kid's computer who doxed him. I got onto it and found out that he was looking up the recipes for explosives. I turned him in and noped out of there. Had a few others where I found child porn. It's way too common. Dropcode says, many long years ago, there was this website called Eon 8. It was basically just a weird, ambiguous splash page with a countdown timer and a map with red dots all over it. This thing was super effective at rustling the jimmies of the entire internet. I found a way in relatively early on, and based on a few things I found it with the web root, it became immediately obvious that the whole thing was a prank. So I decided to leave it alone and watch it play out. Right at the very end of the countdown, the guy that was running the whole thing updated the website with this big reveal, including some message about how hackers from all over the world kept trying to break in, but none could manage it. Called us all lame noobs. I was a bratty teenager, so I took that as a challenge. I was on a teleconference with some other hackers at the time, so we jumped on the server through a backdoor I'd left and defaced the page with severely cringe-inducing message. Oh god, I can't believe I'm sharing this. I blacked out the guy's name, but I'm sure someone here knows him or knows a V on 8. So if he sees this, I'm sorry, dude. GD kids, right? Anyway, right around this time, as the countdown ended and a while after, the server was getting swamped to the point of an essential DDoS. This was happening while I logged into SSH on the server. I was in the process of doing some cleanup, deleting some utility scripts I'd put on the server, but I was impatient. The lag was grueling, and I was working faster than the server was sending me responses. I changed directions at one point and tried to delete everything in it, before seeing a response from the server and didn't realize I'd fat-fingered the command. I ended up deleting a bunch of his stuff that I didn't mean to. The second I realized what I'd done, I instantly felt horrible and noped the fuck out of there. We had planned on razzing the guy for a while, but I was just totally done. Oh, he didn't even mean to delete all of his stuff. That's cute. Farmish says, I was hired to develop a payment processor for an unnamed large fast food brand. At this point, I had the ability to take out around $100,000 a day into an offshore account. I would have done this by pulling a movie plot like Heist. I was going to take 2% of all the tax payments. I was thinking about it for a while, and then the next day, someone I knew was busted for doing the same thing on a much smaller brand. At this point, I dipped out. I ended up working for the brand for a few more years without committing any fraud. Peter11229999 says, not really a hack. The school IT department were asshats and left the password to the main account hard-coded in a batch script. I went in and found all the teachers' pay, student names, addresses, social security numbers, just to name a few. Nope. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 says, quickly made a throwaway because I was slightly paranoid or whatever. Also, hardly hacking, but it counts. I like finding insecure IP cameras, mostly ones with no password or the default password, and then log into them and see wherever they are. A lot are in houses, some are in kids' rooms or whatever. Never tend to keep any open long enough to see people. One was in a random house in the front room, and there was some girl on the sofa who was 4 or 5 years old. After a while, she got up and was totally naked. Never went back to that one. Kinda that guy says, there's a sub for that. I don't recall the name though. A sub for unsecured cameras, not kids. I thought I was alone in this. I did it for a few months once and built up my own little database of cameras and what they were pointed at. It was fun to watch the local bar or a shoe store in Thailand or a corner store in India, but then I pulled up someone's house and watched their kids play and felt dirty and never did that again. Super Pickle 18 said, there's a website that you can use to view millions of unprotected webcams. It's kind of funny actually. It's shodan.io explore tag webcam, or an even better website, insectcam.org. Stands for insecure camera. Insectcam. And so that lets you log directly into cameras that are on networks that don't have a password. Says, this reminds me of a YouTube video where the guy had access to the camera's mic and was watching a woman eat her lunch. She farted and he called her out. Oh god, that must have freaked the lady out a lot. Typically Wong says, I was at a Counter-Strike LAN party ages ago. I ran a bunch of NetSend scripts on the network, causing prompts to pop up in front of the game saying dumb shit like, good luck, right behind you, your mother gives great head. Eventually, the party organizer paused the games to walk everyone through how to disable messaging services. The funny thing was that about 15% of the people already had that off, including my group, and it caused a few unfair wins. I noped out when people started looking at me since I wasn't exactly quiet about the whole thing. It was fucking amazing, and the start of a long, long road of engineering and infosec work. Beard of Valor says, oh, I accidentally did a bad meme. In terms of petty gamer shit, leading to real learning and career options, I was trying to get Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne for Dota All-Stars. The LAN had provided a cracked copy and a patch, but the patch wouldn't run. It was trying to find the path from a non-existent registry file. I looked at registry entries for other Blizzard products and created a registry file from scratch. I ran the patch again, expecting the next error and the next one until I finally created them all, but it worked immediately. I felt like a tiny god at the LAN, and I won some nerd points for being able to help everyone. P.S. I feel nothing for the piracy of it. Ice Frog got his money from me eventually. Kung Fu Fish Stick says, this was back in the day of AIM chat rooms. I had a guy who I was watching in a chat room. I sent him a message acting as a 14-year-old. I told him to download my naughty picture. He did, and it was just a quick download that gave me access to the entire system. The tool I used displayed the entire system and all functions in a hierarchy of importance, with the Windows kernel at the tippy top. As soon as I was all set, I deleted his kernel. I lost all my tools from back then, but this was a sweet time to be around. Seek and destroy internet pedos. Jarbar says, honestly, this post doesn't really make sense. The Windows kernel isn't a function, first of all, and whatever tool you had that could let you do this probably just opened up a shell for you and let you in as root. At best, maybe it had a helpful little GUI or GUI that ran RNX commands for you. Oh man, packet switching. Where I lived, there was a X.25 network that was used at least for internet transactions from ATMs, and I think point-of-sale devices. We found the number by connecting to the same phone line as an ATM, recording DTMF with an old Sony handheld tape cassette recorder, and decoding them by ear with great difficulty later. We used to dial into it and scan around for nodes. I don't think we ever found anything interesting on it, getting some major nostalgia. Lime PR0123 says, I was a spammer in the mid to late 90s, and there were a group of 3 of us. We would make a website using affiliate content and then spam the link to it. Started off by scanning AOL chat rooms, and we made a spamming AOL chat rooms, and we made a decent living from it, $2,000 to $3,000 from each of us every week. Then we got bigger into it and left the confines of AOL, which led to bigger paydays of $20,000 to $30,000 per month until the authorities knocked on one of my partner's doors. They never did come to me, and I was 17 at the time. Stopped once that happened. Penetration Tester says, pretty deep into the dark web for work, looking for certain things. Came across certain adverts on darknet search websites that made me leave work until the next day. Nope the fuck out of there. I would prefer not to say what it was, but you can guess. Lexi says, when I was young, I got into hacking AOL for cool screen names. I met people who social engineered AOL. They would call up AOL and pretend their system, Merlin, was down and trick real employees into resetting stuff. I was on the Converse call when they stole the owner of an AOL account, other high figures, etc. A couple years later, we were all friends playing Halo and stuff together, and they told me connect to this live server where you can control the mouse. They hacked Comcast's website and they wanted me to connect to it. I had this weird gut feeling to ask what it was for once, and they told me. I said hell to the no. Also, these same people had a botnet channel I was in back in the day, and a government cyber crimes agent came in and told us to shut it down. I was like 14, so I was scared I was going to juvie. But now I work in sysadmin and have a good job, so I'm kind of thankful I wandered into the AOL chat back in that day. It made me the person I am. Whoa, not gonna read that username. I guess this counts. It's not as life or death of some of the other posts here. I sniffed the credentials for our student information grading system in high school with Cain and Abel. Did nothing with it, but I could see grades, addresses, social security numbers, the works. Why do schools have their kids' social security numbers? And that isn't, nah, they probably wouldn't have the children. They would have the teacher's social security numbers, I guess. Makes more sense. Peaky of Fire says, Script Kiddie College me decided to play with a pen testing program against a government website from the school network. The amount of network info and other metadata as well as actual documents it was pulling was scary. Plus, it was overheating my rig because of the processing power involved. And just overall, I realized it was a shitty idea, so I killed it. Delioth says, see, running a penetration testing program against a government website and getting a ton of data is pretty believable. Overheating your rig? That's not. Pen testing doesn't involve a lot of complex operations. Penetration testing over a network certainly doesn't. Penetration testing and network operations do involve a lot of initial input and output. If your computer is waiting for input-output, it's not doing real operations. It's idling, or it's doing the stuff necessary to browse Reddit or whatever. Computing the hashes for millions or billions of passwords or similar actual processor-heavy operations might do that, but network input-output is really, really slow, to the point where you can do it all the time and probably never notice it tying up system resources. I guess unless it's getting data from the network and forwarding it straight to the memory disk so fast that it starts tying up those resources, but those resources also don't produce that much heat. Mala44 says, lol, the killer of the CMD library of Ethereum multi-signature wallets. Approximately a couple 100 million gone forever. Hee hee. Loix2 says, it's not really hacking, kind of like an amateur teenage social engineering. A friend and I created an account on a French chat website. It was called Coco Chat or something like that was aimed at children, I think. When we made our account look like we were a 9-year-old girl and started chatting with people. Needless to say, it was pretty disturbing to see pedos talking with us. One of them was talking almost every day with us. We even thought about sending him a keylogger or a Trojan to find more information about him and call the police on him. In the end, we were too disgusted and frightened by this guy to continue to do that. Alright everybody, that's it for now. If you want to support us, please check out another video, like this video, comment, subscribe, or the Holy Grail, reach out to us and have a Zoom call with our faces. We're looking for more YouTube content creators who want to work with software like this to browse and make videos that way or make thumbnails. So if you're interested, please drop us an email saying hello. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao.